So I had a few minutes that I could sit and think and maybe even talk about something. We've tried to keep things pretty narrow with Outside of the Grid, even though Outside of the Grid, I mean, the very name insinuates that we should be way outside of the grid, that we should be, exploring many different veins of thoughts. Because, it doesn't have to be mainstream, In fact, the name of a company that I created was called Conflux Media Group. And conflux, or a confluence, a conflux, is a place where a tributary joins forces with a larger river. So in other words, near where I live, there's the Washita River, which starts in near Hot Springs, Arkansas, and it goes down to the Mississippi and then into the Gulf of Mexico. But another river close to us is the Saline River, and it feeds the Washita, just a few miles from my house. And then right below Monroe, Louisiana, you have Bayou Bartholomew, or Bayou Bartholomew is what they call it sometimes down here, like this right here, down there. Bayou Bartholomew. So, it's kind of the whole purpose of the company was to create the idea. I say company, but the purpose of the vision of that entity was to create content where the tributary met the mainstream. In other words, we wanted to be something that people could understand. We didn't want it to be so far out there, and you'd have to put Occam's razor 24 feet under the ground in a hole and bury it. So we wanted it to be where parsimonious with reality, And then, of course, somehow or the other, we got wound up with this Delphi murders case of Abby and Libby, Abby Williams and Liberty German, on February the 13th, 2017, when apparently the murder occurred. Small town, Indiana, warm day in the middle of winter. Planned, not planned. Somehow or the other, a person who we'll call Bridge Guy, and maybe accomplices, I don't know. I don't really buy the accomplices thing, but hey, whatever. We'll entertain those thoughts, because it could be. Nobody knows the answer to this. It's not solved. It's not in the books yet. We haven't seen the Forensic Files video of this yet, where they go in and they break all this stuff that we're all speculating about down. So we've not seen that yet. So it's just wide open. There's just so many veins of thought to go into with this thing. Of course, one of the major points I've always heard is that if it's usually someone that knows someone. I mean, them. They're like kin to you, or you're friends with them, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, ex-spouses, worked with them. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to know people. There's people that are close to you, is basically what it is. Those are the ones, because there's where the frustrations and tensions go. But there are other things that happen. There are planned murders. There are ways. There are situations where there's a planned something else, and it didn't go as planned, or even near as planned, and it wound up as a double murder. It goes as someone being happened upon doing something wrong, doing something questionable, whatever, wrong place, wrong time scenario. Planned, plotted, happened upon, kind of planned, There's that scenario. There's the retribution angle. tied to families, which everybody just hates, and I get it, because no one wants to, because every forensic file show you see, it talks about how, well, yeah, the husband was, or this, or the brother, or the aunt, the uncle, whatever, significant other person in their life was considered a person of interest for a long time, and then went through pure hell, went broke, had all their stuff stolen, were locked in jail for various other reasons, i.e. Ron Logan. People that may or may not have been involved with it, that just got caught up with it because they were at the wrong place or the wrong time and were accused of it. And then finally later on, maybe you figure out, no, well, it wasn't the husband, it wasn't Ron Logan, it was whoever, because of whatever. Described by this, described by that. Whatever kind of rabbit hole you want to crawl into. But I think that like with us, there was some comment on a recent guest on Outside of the Grid. It's like, well, no, there was a couple of comments where most of the comments were favorable. People were like, hey, you know what, she didn't name names. She did not do that. But, people in the comments would comment on what she said, naming names. I'm like, accusing her of being wrong. I'm like, you're the one that's wrong. You're the one that named names. She described scenarios, and I think she did damn good doing it. Because not everybody can do that. Not everybody can come on there and explain it without naming names. They can explain their hypothesis without having to get down and dirty with it. And she kept it pretty broad. But yet, you got the gist of what she was trying to tell you. You understood what she was trying to say, which is a valid hypothesis. It's not the only one. There are hundreds of different hypotheses for this case. And like a lot of channels out there, our goal is to explore some of those hypotheses, and some of them are not favorable. We don't want to be naming names. There's a lot of channels that go in there, blah 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 blah. Yeah. Let's just look at the scenarios. You can talk about what happened without having to name names. You can say the person that did this, the person that drove the car, the person that. There's all kinds of ways you can describe things. But that's what we'll be doing over the next several weeks. And as always, I will let you guys know that we appreciate you visiting Outside of the Grid podcast. As always, like everybody, we're always trying to do more shows. We're just kind of starting out. In fact, we never did really produce a real podcast until the first of this year. And of course, we want to explore it. We want to see what's going on with this case. It's so intriguing. It's otherworldly almost. It's almost paranormal, this case is, because it's right there in plain sight, and yet we don't even know the answer to it. But anyway, maybe we'll have another show for you over the Memorial Day weekend. If not, think about it. This used to be called, I think it was Decorations Day or something, where they would, decorate the graves of fallen soldiers with various things. And of course, that's always good. It's you got to remember where you came from. My dad is a veteran. I'm not a veteran myself. He was not killed in action, so we're not grieving today. We celebrate on Veterans Day, hopefully, for a long time into the future. But we do appreciate the sacrifices that other people made for our country. It's of course, our country's kind of crazy right now, but everybody gets a little crazy every once in a while. Everybody gets off the meds, gets on too many other meds, what have you. But maybe it takes a long time to turn the ship, but maybe we'll get it turned pretty soon. We're out.